All right, so here we go. We're gonna start this track from scratch, basically. I've got a template here. It's one of the templates that I use all the time. It's got a 909 in here. The drum is on 909. This dude. Um, got other things mapped to it: the snare, the clap, the hats, the rides. Also have some effect sends here. Got the API 2500 that I typically use for um, parallel compression on the drum bus. And then I've got a delay, a reverb, saturator, a flanger, and another compressor, the L2 compressor. But I'm just gonna start with this kick. It's a 142 BPM, just 99 kick. We'll play with this for a little bit, see what this sounds like. I'm going to add a little something to it. It already has kind of a compressor thing going on here. I'm going to add this thing called Macity. Type that in there. Macity 64. You can search for it. It is free. It's an emulation of the old school Mackie 1202 VLZ preamp, which was awesome. It gives you really cool saturated sound, especially for 909s and basses. Like for drum and bass and stuff, it's great. 99 hi-hats, it's also great. It's real simple to use. You got an input trim. So turn that up, gets more distorted. Out pad, turn this down. It won't be, it'll bring the gain down. So, when you turn this up, it's going to get louder. This way you can balance it out so it's not going to be like crazy. But you'll be able to hear. You can hear the saturation coming in this thing. It's beautiful. Man, I love that. That's not the type of track we're going for right now, but that type of kick is great. But I like it about here. Something like that. The level's a little high. Keep it down to about minus 12 dB, something like that. That should be okay. Now I'm gonna check the mix bus real fast, because I'm sure I'm really hot into this bus compressor over here. And yes, I am. I only want to be getting about 1 to 2 dB of gain reduction with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up. I have a trimmer plugin installed ahead of it on the inserts on my mix bus. And essentially, the way I have it set up is I can use it just to turn up and down the volume or gain, so I'm not driving my plugins in my mix bus too hot. So I want this to be bouncing like, right around the middle here. So I'm going to set it about to there for now. I also have this set up with a filter on the low end. That's the low end of the entire track. I have that mapped to my MIDI controller. So if you just hear it disappearing, that's what I'm doing. Okay, so we got the 909 there. It's looking pretty good. Let's see. Also on the mix bus, I have a limiter here. It's the Slate Digital FGX. I just have it on just glue. It's not doing a whole lot, but here you can adjust the levels. So I'm going to bring the level up a little bit. And I typically won't use this if I'm making this track, or when I bounce it to send out for mastering. I typically won't use this. I'll just bypass it. But when I make my own masters, like listen in the car, check the mix and stuff like that, I'll go ahead and use this, and I'll bring the gain up to just barely below 0, and maybe even clipping a little bit, because it'll take the tops off there. But for now, I just want it to get the volume up right. So we got that kick. I think that's pretty good for now. I may end up pulling a little bit of the decay out. Something like that. That works. Let's get a simple hat here. And this is just, for now, all this is going to do is just kind of give us a groove to work with. But most of the time, I will go back in and put in a more complicated hat pattern. So I think we're here. Yeah. So there. Nope. Go down one. There. There. I'm going to bring up the mix console. Go to hats. Need to make sure that that is on the hats bus. And probably turn it down because it may be pretty loud. Yeah, it's pretty loud. Over here, this macro controls for the drum is on, and this is the hi-hat. Decay on the open hi-hat. Okay, so we got that. I think I'm gonna add that Macity on this channel. It kind of accentuates the mid-range quite a bit, which I like on the 909. Turn that trim down. That's a lot of mid-range. I'm gonna bring up the frequency too. If you have Cubase, frequency 2 is great. Yeah, frequency 2 is a great plugin. I really like the curves here. I don't like to have a lot of that really high frequency stuff like past 10K in my hi-hats. I don't mind a lot of low end in my hi-hats, but we can definitely kind of, I'll do a low shelf for this. I'll bring, not the Q, bring the gain down. Something like that for now. That'll work. This could do with just a little bit of verb. I like reverb on. All right, cool. Let's find a synth. I've been playing around with the DX7V lately. I'm going to put this on the right bus, so I'm going to put that on the synth bus. DX7V. I've just been looking for some really simple, like FM sounds. And there's a few that I've come up with. Actually, I don't want to, I'll move this out of the way. I don't want to start auditioning sounds until I pull the gain down, because, okay, there, that's, okay, that's better. Started messing around, just making my own sounds on this thing. It's pretty, I mean, it's kind of complicated, but it's also pretty simple once you figure it out. I would highly recommend this thing if you're into techno. Now the names you'll see are really goofy because I don't know how to name things. I just kind of basically describe them as the sounds. So like, you know, bouncy blips, what is it, zap, FM zap, bonk. We'll try a bonk, see what bonk sounds like. So that's what bonk sounds like. This is a smooth bonk, which is actually not that smooth. Zap. I like that bonk. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. I'm just going to kind of play a beat and see if I can just come up with a pattern. just randomly type that in, hit the star button to record. Now I'm gonna quantize it. Now what I will do is I will go in and do some processing on this. This needs some definite processing. Add that. I'm gonna check out that McAtee thing on this. See if I can get some of that kind of old school grit. Where is that gone? That's on the synth bus. Let's bring in frequency here. So when I'm messing with synths, I will normally like to do a sidechain, and I don't like to do a whole bunch of sidechain, but the way you can do sidechain a really cool way, in a different way than using a compressor in Cubase and a lot of other things, but I'm going to show you how to do it in Cubase. I'm sure any other DAW you can do the same thing. If you pull up an EQ, so this one I will pull up frequency, which I was just using, and expand this on the number 1 frequency here. Go over, turn on dynamics, turn off auto, set internal sidechain to sidechain 1. Come over here, choose sidechain source. It will be the kick bus because I want it to happen every time the kick hits. And then this is how you activate or deactivate sidechaining. So what happens is this kick is going to send a signal to this EQ, and what this EQ is going to do, and I know the 909 frequency is right around 50 hertz, so I want to pull that out of this DX7 sound. And so every time the kick hits, this EQ is going to automatically bump the frequency. It's going to pull the, I guess, the volume out of this frequency, but it leaves the top end. So you don't get that like really crazy sucking sound that you hear in like classic side chaining. But let's check it out. See if we can. You'll be able to watch it happen. So right there, you can see it bouncing. That's with it. That's without it. Now you can't really tell that much, which is a great thing, but it does get the bass from this synthesizer out of the way of your kick drum. And that's pretty much all you want, unless you really want that, you know, classic sucking sound of a sidechain compressor. So normally what I will do is I'll put the sidechain at the end of the inserts, but I always try to leave something here so I don't end up having to move stuff, because I want the sidechain to be affecting anything else that I put on this synth. So if I add some delays and stuff, I will want the sidechain to work on those as well. If I put the sidechain before that, then it won't. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I'm going to actually try to find a frequency that I like here. I like this one. All right, I may add some more. More sounds over here. Okay, so I got I'm just gonna draw something in here. What am I thinking? Like, So I like that rhythm, but I don't think I like that rhythm using this synth. So I will add something else, probably in that exact same spot in the bar to give it that rhythm, like say maybe like a bass element or something like that. I think I'll probably leave this synth pretty much like this, but most likely I'll end up changing a little bit. Let's try to get a little bass line going. So I'm gonna add a track, add audio track. I'm going to put it on I'll put it in the loops bus. I still need to create a bass bus for some reason. I haven't done it, but right now I'm not using the loops bus, so I'll just put it there. I'm gonna bring down the gain to -12 just to make sure I have headroom when I load this sample in here. Go over to my media bay. I'll just go into the file browser. So, 2016 samples. That's pretty good. These are some samples I got from Matthias Friedel quite a while ago, almost 10 years ago. So a lot of times what I'll do with these is I'll bring in a few of them. Bring in like one. I like that. I like how that kind of has kind of a rolling element to it. And then let's just kind of maybe randomly space them out a little bit. Move this one, make them a little bit different. You see, these two are the same, but this one over here is slightly off. And you're definitely going to want to sidechain this thing. And this one actually calls for just a classic sidechain. Because it's pretty much only bass, so I'm not really worried about leaving any of the top end unaffected. So I've just set up the sidechain, set it to kick bus. I'm going to turn the release down. Make sure you turn off makeup gain if you're using the compressor that has it and you're trying to sidechain with it, because that essentially defeats the purpose. It'll just make up that gain. And the more you pull down the threshold, the more sidechaining you're going to get. Now I'm going to mix this in slowly, so we'll just that's cool. And now I'm going to add the frequency EQ after the compressor. Actually, no, I won't. I'll add it. Yeah, I will add it, because I want to use the gain on it. I want to use it to control gain also. So I'm going to figure out where I want to be. I'm going to edit this DX real fast. What loop's better? Is this one better? I think this definitely needs another something in it. Maybe here? Solo this DX. It's got some internal effects that I don't really have that much control over. I'm going to get rid of those. I'm going to add my own in the track here. Let's look for a reverb. So I'm going to do a delay first. So I'm just going to use like some stock delays from Cubase here. Ping pong delay. 8D, pull the mix down. All right, that's giving me the effect that I want. So it's essentially adding more notes without actually adding more notes. So I like that a lot. Let's find a reverb here. Just go with Roomworks. Pre-delay always sucks. Size. Reverb time. So I'm just adjusting the size because they have different resonant frequencies, so you can kind of tune it to the sound. Like this is really cool. And then you have essentially EQs, so you can take the low end out of the reverb there. So why not check the same sound on the lower ranges? Sure. You mean like the same sequence? Or like lower, like... An octave down is... it's really low. It's already pretty low already, but... I do like it a few keys down. No, it's definitely something that I do quite frequently, actually. It's always great to test that. And let's see. I think I need more delay on this, like some of that high end. That hat's really loud. I'm going to come up with a different hat pattern here. I typically like to write these in 16ths, and I like to just kind of draw them in, and then I will draw out different velocities on them. And normally I will use a swing quantize, and if you don't know how to set up a swing quantize, if you don't know how to set up a swing quantize on Cubase, you just hit this E here, and then you just select the grid here, and that's 1/16th, and then you can move this up and down to the swing that you want, and then just hit the plus, and it'll save it over here in your menu. I have one at 25 and one at 50. I guess that's 24. I have one at 24 and one at 50. I typically use the 24 swing. So, okay, I'll just type these out here. I'm essentially going to do just straight up 16th notes on the hats, but they'll change quite a bit because I'm going to use a lot of different velocity. I don't know why step sequencing keeps being selected here. All right, so you have all these velocity markers down here that you can change. I want to get the cursor out of the way. Typically, I like to leave the first one pretty high up, and then I'll bring them like kind of randomly down. Although the one on the 8th note, I like to accent pretty much all the time, so we'll leave that one pretty high and just kind of randomly drag them up and down while trying to leave the one on the 8th note, which I don't think that one is. No, I'm trying to leave the one on the 8th note up. Something like that. Something like that. This is going to be really loud. I'm going to turn the volume down on these hats here. Here, I'll just mix them in. There's a little verb on there. A little bit delay on these hats. Just playing around with this. Dun, 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 dun. That's one. I'm gonna bring that velocity down on these quite a bit. I also think maybe this sub bass needs a little. I think it needs some distortion actually. So I'll bring up just the standard distortion plugin from Cubase here. And I think I was wrong. I think it sounds better without it. Add a standard compressor to it. I think anything that I do to it just makes it sound worse, so I'll leave it the way it is. What do we got? Clap. What's going on here? It's just the MIDI channel. There's nothing on that. Not sure it needs a clap, but let's just draw it in here. I'll try it on the one. There. Bring it down. I'm just messing with the sustain on here. I'm digging that. Yeah, I like that. It's pretty damn good. I think this is kind of the beginnings of a track here. We can start working with this. So I'm going to drag this one bar over to the front. I never start a track on one because I like to have room to work with. And in Cubase, you can actually set it up to where the project will give you free space ahead of one, which I haven't done yet. I'll figure out how to do that, and then kind of, I guess I'll show you guys how to do that in a video coming up. And then I will copy all of these and then paste them out 8 bars. And I typically like to work in 8-bar loops. And I'll glue all these together there. So what we have is we have everything. I really kind of feel like this track could use like a top loop, but a very loopy top loop, something that's just like not necessarily like hi-hats either. So I'm gonna look for something. Let's see, add a track. I've already used the loop bus, so I'll put on the effects bus. Top loop. I want something kind of like a mid-high bongo thing that's just, but almost maybe like in reverse, if that makes any sense. Which we may try that too. So let's go over here. Let's find some loops. I've got so many samples. It's insane. No sample packs. I don't know. Let's see what this Afro thing has. Top loops. The only problem with top loops is a lot of times they have the clap in there, and I don't want the clap. You know, I'd rather just have a I said not hats, but that's kind of giving me the same sort of thing that I was thinking about. It's going to be really loud. So I always bring the gain down -12 because most sample packs are maximized to like just below 0 dB, like -0.1 dB or something like that. And that's ridiculous because you start stacking, you know, multiple samples on top of each other that are already maxed out like that. It's just going to be. Yeah, I was thinking a pad too, like a droning pad or something, like mid-range type thing. A dirty stab also, but a stab for me in this track, I think maybe it needs to be really short, and like repeating, like, you know, dun dun, something like that. But we'll check it out. I don't know, why not? I got a bunch of stabs. We can go cycle through them. Let's see what this thing will do. I want to set this on a 2-bar loop. I generally work in 2-bar loops. They seem, to me, a 2-bar loop sounds quicker, if that makes any sense, than a 4-bar loop. So if the loop is changing over, not a 4-bar loop, a 4-beat loop. So I typically work in a 2-beat loop, is what I meant. So it's like half a bar. Right. Yeah. There. Like that. So, something like this. This thing did not time stretch itself. Get rid of that clap. Is that making any difference? It is. I like it too. Now maybe I can throw some distortion on that, because I'm trying to find something that's, or maybe I can EQ it to where it's more mid. So I'm going to duplicate this loop just because it has all the settings that I want to use. I'm going to look for a different sound to go in there. Let's see. What happened to all those sounds? There it is. That's actually almost exactly what I was talking about. Something that kind of has like, it's almost reversed. I'm going to mute this and I will bring this down. It's got distortion on it right now. I probably don't want the distortion. And this EQ curve is going to be bananas on that. So, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. I love the distortion on it. Actually, I'll leave it on there. I'm going to add some burb to this. Actually, I'll add delay first. Yeah, it's good. Might try a different delay. Not sure I like that one. I'm sure it's a mono delay. I think I want to EQ some of this. That pop in there is just way annoying. So I think I'm just gonna have to trash this sample. Unless, let's see where that pop is. So just right there at the beginning. Okay, I can just get rid of that. So I'm gonna set this to like probably 1/64th and cut it. Yeah, there we go. I will fade this in. I think I do have snap to 0 or something there. Set up. I'm going to go ahead and fill in this blank and glue it together so I have a full bar there. Okay, that's kind of what I was... I'm just going to go back to the ping pong delay. Old trusty ping pong delay. Put it on 8th D. Where is that sound? It's right there. Something that's real annoying. That's a little better. Why not? Let's try a stab. Stab. What bus will I put that on? That's bus, synth bus. I can put that on the synth bus. It's all right. Let me go back to this other sample pack up here. 2016 stabs. Actually, not. I'm going to set up a sampler track for that instead. Select a track, add track, sampler. Put that in the synth bus. That's fine. Just name it stab. And that way I can just drag in some. That's pretty good. I'm pulling the gain down because samples are always way too loud. that on 64th. Get rid of that. Change that to 16th notes. It almost needs to be on the up. Those hats are pretty loud. Alright, where we got that stab? Delay here. I want like a really short delay that only goes like once. Probably the mono delay will work that. Something like that. Let's see where this comes in with the kick. Maybe. That's possible. I think I liked it on that 8th note the best. It sounded the best there. I like the low end on that reverb also. What's the feedback? Like a short feedback. Very little mix. Very little mix is good on it. Needs to be EQ'd properly. A different EQ here. Do I have enough EQs? Awesome. Maybe around 470. It's got that knock right at like 470 hertz right there. It's got a good knock in it. Like 2000. Probably a little loud. A little too much burb. I just randomly drew in some, typed in some rides. My latency is really bad off this keyboard. I have like 64 gigs of RAM. I don't know why my latency is so bad, and I just can't fix it. I mean, you can go up here and press the constrained delay compensation, but that'll turn off essentially all the plugins. And I'm just like, screw it. I'll just type things in. If they don't turn out right, I will fix them in post. So I'm going to quantize this, just kind of see how this sounds. There's some doubles here, so you can see I've got overlapped notes put in. So if you don't know what to do there, what you can do is you can highlight these, go up to MIDI, come down to functions, and delete doubles. And so that'll take away anything that you've pressed on the same spot. It's a pretty generic sounding ride. So I'm going to open it up. The drum is on here. Bring it down. The tune down. Leave the decay about where it's at. And it's going to sound like that. That's better. You know what? I think what I'll do is, what's going on here? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 beats. It's probably too much. There. Okay. So I'm just going to do them on the 8th notes, and then I will route them through the proper bus. That's my dog barking. No, that's the MIDI channel. Ride. That's just going to stereo out. So I need to throw that into the hats bus, and it's going to be pretty loud. So I'll bring Also, so for hats, one thing I like to do is use something called an auto pan. Auto pan in Cubase. So it does that. I don't like it to do it that wide. And I like it to be a little faster than that. Something like that. Maybe I need a filter on that stab. I will just try the dual filter in Cubase. Just bring the position down. Excuse me, I got a text. These claps are still going to work. Yeah, they work fine. Awesome. You know what? I'm going to check out this top loop. I don't think that top loop is needed there. I will remove that track, clean it up. Cool. All right. Like what we're working with here. So I'm going to drag all these, move it to the first bar, and then I will Control D them all the way out there. I will select my glue, which you can just press 4 and do it. Drag, swipe across all those, click once. Now we have 8 bars to work with. I'm going to move things out of the way that I'm not actually using. So that works here. So this is typically about the time when I like to kind of start tracking things out, and an easy way for the way I start typically is I will just shrink this up and I will select all of these things and Control D out to about, I think, 224 bars. I forget what that time it is. That's 6 minutes 19 seconds. You don't necessarily need that, but it's an easy way. Now we have a whole track here. You know, I'm going to save this. Okay. So then I'll just kind of set the loop. Well, I mean, I can leave the loop here, and you know, I need to make sure I have it. Then I will just start muting things that I know I'm definitely not going to need all this stuff at the first, you know, 32 bars or 64 bars or whatever. So I don't want the kick, don't want this clap. And then this is kind of how I arrange things too. So I know the kick's pretty much going to be in there the whole time. So I'll leave that at the top. The hat's pretty much going to be in there the whole time. They may not be in the beginning. So I will bring those up. And then I think obviously the synth is going to be in there the whole time. I think the bass line is going to be in there the whole time. This loop is probably going to be there the whole time. Maybe not. We'll test it out. Hats, clap, stab, I don't know. We'll see what it sounds like when we start subtracting things. And, you know, some of my favorite tracks are tracks that pretty much don't do anything. You know, some of the best tracks ever, especially like for DJing and stuff, are just tracks that they just start and they go, and there's very little change to them. So it's really hard to actually make a track like that because you get so bored when you're trying to track it out and you feel like it's going to be very boring. But when you're DJing with it, you throw it on and it builds that tension just by looping over and over and over and over again. And, you know, maybe pull the bass out for like a small break at some point, or like open the hat up a little bit, but essentially all the elements kind of stay the same throughout the entire track. Those are some of my favorite tracks of all time, like Regis tracks, and some Surgeon tracks are like that too. DJ Shuffle Master, things like that. I mean, just incredible stuff that just does nothing, you know. So I like this little white noise that's in this loop. It's nice. And so what is it like without the stab? It feels like it's missing that groove. Good job on recommending a stab there. Battle drone. Alright, so that's cool. Alright. Now, since I moved everything that's pretty much going to stay in the track the whole time all the way up, then it ends up, when you start sequencing this out, it'll end up looking kind of like a staircase, probably going down, you know, and then coming back up and stuff like that. But most of this stuff around, you know, here won't really change that much. I will do some editing, obviously, in say probably like the kick and maybe the claps too, and things like that. Some of the hats I'll edit, but most of this stuff is just going to stay just running. So let's just get rid of the loop here and just play it out. And just try to think like a DJ here. So, you know, maybe we'll just start the track with the bass pulled out like this. And then I will come in here, and I like to leave cues for DJs. So when something's going to change, I like to do something. And typically what I'll do, I'll just pull out some bass drums like that. And so at the 33rd bar is typically when a DJ would like to mix something in. So I like to give them a cue there too. This is not only an audible cue, it's a visual cue as well. As you can see it, you'll be able to see it on the CDJ. So here, maybe I would bring the hats up a little bit. Filter should automate this filter. Just press right and then do a quick movement there. So what that's going to do is it's going to write me this automation lane here. So I will probably have that start. So I'll have it started on the 49. Actually, I may bring it up just before that. So I'm going to come over to this kick. Again, I'm going to add a cue for the DJ, so it'll have the first kick on the last bar and the last 3 kicks on that last bar before the change will be silent. So it'll sound like this. You know, I'm not going to have the clap and ride come in here, but what I may do is I will zoom in here. And I may bring up this filter just for this last stab, so it gives it that accent, kind of a lead in. Again, another cue, another visual cue, and an audible cue for a DJ. And that filter is a little too high, so. Rides are crazy loud. I don't know why I'm getting those clicks. Probably need to restart my computer. Let's see what this does here. Was not a big fan of that. Right now I'm just building a basic sequence here. We'll go in and redefine this later. So maybe that would be something like bring the hi-hat up more there. So again, that's something I should be automating. So bring this in like this. Okay, so where was I when the hi-hats kicked up? So look at that automation lane I just got rid of. So that's just volume. So I'm going to say right click here, show all used automation. We'll show the automation. Here's the hi-hat there. So starting at, not at 33, let's start at 49. I think I will bring the hi-hat up a little bit. Just the decay on the hi-hat up a little bit. If you set these to 1, it'll snap to 1. These little automation handles. It'll snap to 1. Okay, and I'll just bring that up just a little bit right there. And I will delete that one, and that way it runs up like this. Let's see how this... And actually, so I don't know if you can hear that. With this automation, it's sloping upwards when the stab comes up, which is not what we want it to do. We want it to be full on here. So I'm going to drag this marker. I need to set this to like 16th notes here. And then typically you can just put another marker there. So now it just goes straight up. It's not going to slope while that thing is playing, because the filter sloping, it completely defeated the attack of that stab. So, you know. That's the difference. So, to add some interest here, what you can do is pull things out and give this stab some space to be by itself. So maybe just pull out that, leave the bass in, maybe that, maybe pull the hi-hats out. I don't know, we'll play with it. We'll see what it sounds like. Took out the DX7, took out this top loop. Maybe pull the bass out, I don't know. I don't hate it. You know what does happen though is the delay takes a little bit to... Alright. Let's see what happens to these hats. I think it was here. Or was it just... the hats come up when the clap comes in? Maybe. There they go, yeah. So they come up. Alright, so I'm going to mute these last 3 kicks over here. Right around the 97th bar, I typically like to start a break. I will loop this though, over here. We're going to have to do quite a bit of work on this. Maybe I don't need a break there. Maybe I like this progression here. Maybe I don't need a break at all. Who the hell cares? Just play the damn track. I'm gonna check it out from the beginning. You know, one thing I forgot to do was to automate the filter. So I've got a filter. If you haven't been watching the whole time, I've got a filter on the whole mix bus that pulls the bass out. So it does this. So I want to automate that filter at the very beginning here. Let's see. Go over to the mix bus. Hit. Where's right? Here it is. Hit right. Press go. And then just bring it up to where you want it. Now what it's going to do, it's going to write it where you want it. And it should have written it down there. Okay. So I want this to play until the 16th bar. So I've got this set on 1. I've got my pencil out. I will click that and I will drag this to the 16th bar. Now I will erase all of this stuff here. Now there's no automation here, but the filter is already turned up. What I want to happen is, I guess right before the 16th bar, I want the filter to turn off. So then the bass, the full bass of the track will come in right at the beginning of the 16th bar. You kind of want it to be seamless. So I typically will use a 16th note for this and just kind of listen to it, because you don't really want to hear a whoa, on the track. So yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. That works just fine there. Yeah, the delay wasn't actually getting in my way at that point. It was going away, and I didn't want it to go away because it took a little while to come back at the beginning of that other bar. But yeah, you're right. Just automate the volume down. Makes a whole lot of sense. You can also automate the wet dry on the delay itself. It kind of does the same thing, but I like the volume idea. I appreciate it. Now there are things we can do with this DX7 synth also. So it can be automated to where so that could be something we do. Alright, let's go ahead and set it. We will do a break. I'm going to delete all this. Not delete, just mute all this stuff here. And let's pretend there'll be a break right here. I'll drag these over. Okay, now I have some automation for the filter drawn there. I will bring it up to about there. Let's leave it like that. Let's just play around with it. So this goes. And then I'm going to do some automation on the DX7 synth. That's a little too much taken out. Something like that. That's pretty good. I will open up this synth here. All I'm going to do is just press the W and then just move this slightly. Okay, so now it's drawing it out here. That's not necessarily how I want it to sound, so we can do this by drawing it out instead of trying to play it with the mouse. Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to delete all this stuff. Come on. There. Select it. Delete it. Now, I'm going to play it. That's about where that was. Now I'm going to put one of those mark edit points here. This edit point over here will anchor it. That way it's not going to change anything ahead of this bar. And realistically, you know, we can, oh, there's 2 edit points there. Realistically, we should be able to drag this up. I don't know why it's doing that. That's pretty crazy. Delete. Delete. Oh, it's doing that because I have right on. So get rid of right. Make sure you turn right off. That's not why it's doing that. It's only doing it on certain spots. This is a weird one. I'll have to try to figure that out later. I don't think I've ever had that happen. It's really strange. Not real sure why it's doing that. So that's something we can mess with there. Okay. I guess we could play with the filter here. And the delays here. Press right, just wiggle that. Okay. All right. So now I have a few parameters to mess with to kind of give it some movement or some more intensity during the break. So, you know, we'll add a little feedback to the delay on the stab. We will add some mix to the delay on the DX7, and then probably this filter will start to rise up a little. Move it back. What I'm doing is I'm drawing in a potential break with the filter. And then I'll probably pull out the last bar of a lot of this stuff and just let the effects do their own thing. Okay. Okay, that works. I don't know if we need the ride or not there. maybe. I think sometimes I like almost anticlimactic drops. I want to see where the hi-hat decay is. It's automation. Show all use automation. Here it is here. So. I want to see what the hi-hat sounds like when it's brought all the way down after the break. Not sure what's better. Something like that. And then you can slowly bring it up over time. Slowly bring this ping pong delay mix down. Try to bring it back to where it was before. I want to bring the rides in about 16 bars after the break. If you notice, about every 16 bars, I will add a cue for a DJ, an audible cue, and a visual cue, because you'll see it in the waveform. I will pull out like one kick or two kicks or three kicks or something like that. It just helps DJs keep count. Typically, I mean, really, you shouldn't need to actually think about it, because it should just be natural. You should just somehow, I don't know how we do it, but we just know the count in our head without counting. But it's always nice to have a visual cue or an audible cue, so you know when is a good time to either start mixing or do an out mix or something like that. Pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have this hi-hat decay pop up like right when this ride goes away. And I will bring it all the way down here. Probably time to get rid of that clap. Yeah, that works. We're at 5 minutes now, so I mean, you don't really need much more than that. I'm gonna just delete that there. All right. I like it. I mean, I think that's definitely workable. Um, we're hour and 27 minutes in, and we've got, essentially a track that um, is done. I mean, take another few hours of like final editing and just kind of obviously like working on the mix and stuff like that, but maybe adding small little edits, something like that. I don't want to change a whole lot to it. I don't think I really want to add anything to it. Maybe a pad like Battle Drone mentioned. But here you go. It's pretty simple. Good track though. I like it. It's exactly what I wanted to make. Exactly the type of track I wanted to make. Awesome. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. I hadn't done one of these in a while. Busy last few weeks, but I'm looking to do a few of these a week at least, and hopefully you'll join